Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. For this one, we have my comic Chosen, page 3, question mark, I believe it's page 2. Oh no, what page is this? I don't know. I'm off. I think this is page 2. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure this is page 2, because this is one of the ones I've not gotten very far in. I'm pretty sure. I'm doing multiple other comic pages right now, and just other projects in general. So it's a little hard for me to remember sometimes, but I'm pretty sure this is page 2. But for this page, we're kind of still in the tunnel that we left off in the first one, where our main OC here was being chased by the little cave monsters. I don't know what I want to call them yet. So she's still running, trying to get out of the cave, which she does. So this is, at the moment in this comic, her job, pretty much. They're called scavengers. So they're on the hunt for, well, the people in charge are on the hunt for an object of some kind that they've never, fully disclosed of what they're looking for. So she, among others, it's their job, if they locate something that might be of interest, to go into the monsters' caves and get them. There's multiple types of monsters. This is just the one I kind of came up with first. They're like little raptors with quills on them, and they kind of glow in the dark to match the cave. That's actually why the cave is kind of glowing. It's not like super dark in there, because it actually does kind of glow itself as this kind of like glowing rock. I don't know. I was like, how do I do this so it's not like super dark so you can still kind of see what's going on? Because if I did a regular cave, obviously there just would be nothing. So I'm like, I have to have some kind of light source in here somehow so you can actually still see what's going on. Because you know how they do that, like in the TV shows or whatever, like the animated ones, and they just have their eyes showing. I'm like, okay, we're not doing that. I'm like, I gotta do something else. And they're just kind of like walking and making noises pretty much. I didn't want to do that. So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So you'll see what I do the coloring wise, just to kind of help. Now right here, this one I'm drawing is actually the end of the tunnel. So there is actually light coming. That is a fact. But now you can kind of see here on the pages, okay, this is page 2. I'm right. Okay. I'm looking at, because at top right up there is actually page 1 stapled to the inside of this book. That's how I know. But we have our little raptors here chasing her. So pretty much their backs are glowing. That's what this light color is for. I don't remember what the actual name is. But that's what this is for, is it kind of helps with that glow effect. So it's not, again, it's not super dark in here. There's still some light source coming through. But they glow themselves, especially if they go into like the darker tunnel areas or something that don't have light. They can still kind of see what they're doing. So this page was not very difficult, which luckily, there's some pages that are more interesting than others. Some are more difficult than others. It depends. Like two of the comic pages I'm working on right now are for 2 other comics I have. One page I'm not thrilled about at all. It's just because of how I have it set up. So obviously it's my doing, but it's one of those pages, like how you get into the middle of a book. You hit the slow part and you're just like, I don't want to read this. But if you read through it and get through it, you'll get to the more exciting parts. Okay, that's how this page is. And then the other comic I'm doing, I'm looking forward to coloring that page, because to me that's going to be a little bit more exciting. So it's just kind of a back and forth game. But this was kind of the ones that it was just like easy, pretty much. Not necessarily like the shading part. I would say that's kind of difficult, because obviously I still need it somewhat dark, but it has to be light at the same time. It has to give off that glowing effect. So it's like a back and forth game of like trying to figure out how I'm doing this. So it's kind of interesting. But I still got there in the end. I feel like whenever I do the digital parts, it makes it look better than what I have here. So I'm trying. At this point, I just try and just do a little bit of the lighting the way it needs to be, along with the shading. So when I actually put the lighting in here, it makes sense. So that's why it's like a back and forth game of trying to like figure out how to do it properly, But sorry for all the blurriness. Apparently it wanted to focus more on my hand. I do apologize for that. I'm still trying to work out the best camera situation for this. Sometimes it's better than others. Also, now looking at this, especially like in a distance, this reminds me of Aliens, like the Aliens movies with those, where they got like the face huggers. I love those movies, not gonna lie. That's like one of the only like horror movies, along with Predators, that I will actually like watch. Because I'm not a horror movie person, but that I will generally watch. But it's just like the ribbing on them. That's what that reminds me of, which is funny. So now, obviously, our main character here, her coloring very basic. It gets better later on. It's just like this is kind of like their standard uniform, I guess. I was like, I don't want anything super standard, like super crazy with this because there's no point. So I don't know. I just picked yellow. I don't know. It's almost supposed to be more of kind of like a cream color, but I kind of figured the darker yellow made sense because again, she's in the cave. So probably what will happen is when, outside is where it'll actually get more of like the green color appearance. It's just right now it just doesn't come out that way. So like even down here you can kind of still see it's still a dark yellow. But again, she's also in the shading. That's also why I'm sitting here and I'm like, this was kind of hard to do shading wise because she's behind the cover of a mountain, but the sun's out because they're gonna like a desert oasis type of thing. Not necessarily like oasis, but it's got life and some green water kind of thing, but it's mostly desert. So it was kind of weird because I had my head. I was like, okay, well, I want her to be in shadow. Like part of it is in shadow because of the mountain and like two characters in the back there. They're partially in the light. As he's walking closer, he's gonna get darker because of the shading. So again, this was another thing where I was like, okay, how am I doing this? Because some of it is just kind of difficult with the coloring wise, which is fine because I need the practice. So there's nothing wrong with that because it just gives me a chance to try something new and just like learn some new skills and stuff as best I can. But it's still kind of difficult because I'm like, in my head, I see it, but like doing it in practice, it's a little more interesting because it's like I don't look up references when I do this. I kind of just do it out of my head. I've always done that. Very rarely will I look at references unless I really need help with something because I'm like, I really just don't know. But other than that, I'm kind of just coming up with it on my own. So I guess it kind of works because I wasn't trying to do a whole lot of like the base color. I did a little bit, which like for this cream, for instance, which I probably should not have. But again, I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out. So I was like, what is the best solution here? But most of this will be in shadow. Again, when I go and do the digital portion, it'll look a little bit better. Because I do kind of do that. But it's just like right now with this little area, doing the pencil, it's kind of like a hit or miss. But it's just like by adding the gold and such, it kind of helps darken it up. I probably should have used a brown. I also need to branch out with my colors, but it's just using certain colors. I have very specific color combos I like using. I probably should have just gone for doing like a dark brown, like a sepia or a dark umber or something. Probably the sepia, I don't know. Versus the gold here, but I'm just so used to just grabbing the gold with yellow. That's why it's like an automatic thing, just muscle memory. So, and then I got my indigo blue here to kind of darken up even more. Like, obviously, I don't want it super dark because it's not nighttime, but I'm also, like, trying to show, like, it is in shadow. And that's why, like, in the back, it's a lot lighter. So, I know, I'm trying. I'm trying to, like, put down what I have in my head to what is on the paper, So sometimes it's kind of difficult because, like, you see it, but then actually executing it, it can turn out a lot different. So it's just, it's a variation, but it still kind of works, It's fun times. So, I don't know, we'll see. I might end up getting more practice with though because since they're kind of in a desert area, but it's very like there's a lot of like canyons and rock formations too. So I'll probably be able to try it a little bit more later on, and then maybe I will actually be able to branch out and using like browns in this, which would probably be very helpful. I just like using the gold because, it's a darker version of yellow. So I just feel like it helps to add in the shading without having fear of like messing it up. So it just depends. It's an adventure. But I also just could have made her, I think, a little bit darker in general here. Instead of doing the base colors, or the highlight, I could just stuck with the base color and the shading and been fine. And then probably just gone like another level darker with shading just to kind of keep in my 3 layers I do. So there's a couple things here that could have been done better for sure, but it is what it is. It's what I did at the time. Because, sometimes, when you do stuff like this, you don't think, you just kind of do. So a lot of it's just the muscle memory, and then later on you're like, oh, I should have done it this way. But too late, because I'm not redoing this. I have a bad habit of starting things over again, and I'm really trying to get out of that. So I'm just like, once I just get it done, I'm just like, nope, just do it, move on. That's the only way you're going to get better and kind of learn different things. So it's just, it depends. But here is the finished coloring pencil. So now let's go do this line art. And since we're now just doing the line art, if you want to see more from me, I have a bunch of other comics. I do my OC characters, which are right now just a bunch of animals. I have 12 of them. I have paintings I do. I have elements, months, seasons. Like, there's all kinds of things I do on here. So if you want to stick around and find out what else I do, please feel free, because I got plenty of stuff on here. But this is another thing, is doing this darker shading. But here's the end, so you can kind of see where I'm getting the glow from, since I actually just put like the glow in there and just doing the lighting and stuff, which overall does not look bad. Do I need a little bit more practice with it? Yeah, but I think overall it works. So, but that is the end, and there we go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!